Filial piety is a Confucius practice that is deeply rooted in most Asian cultures. Often, it manifests as an unquestioning devotion to one's parents that can be hard for people brought up in the West to imagine. It's not to say that we don't love our parents, but we might not feel the need to submit to their every request, support them financially, and call off all plans for a bungay jesa, a sudden call to attend an ancestral rite ceremony that the parents or in-laws had all week to mention, but somehow it slipped everyone's mind, and instead of hitting the hay early on a Sunday, catching up on some Game of Thrones, I'll be subjected to a midnight buffet of fried food and makgeolli, which makes tomorrow's 5:30 a.m. run just beautiful, and back-to-back kindy classes of screaming children an absolute pleasure to start the week off with. This is just a fictional account, but it may serve as a litmus test to see if your values lie or are congruent with the Western or Eastern cultures. If you think attending the ceremony is necessary, you skew Eastern and likely value the collective over the individual. And if you think staying home is paramount, then you believe the needs of the individual should come before those of the collective. I like to think I have a balanced approach, but after talking to today's guest, I feel I may not be doing enough to support those responsible for raising me. Which brings me to the question, can the sacrifices our parents made raising us ever be fully repaid?
You are now tuned into This Korean Life.
Let's start there. Welcome back to another episode of This Korean Life.
Yes.
Today in the studio we have Hermie
Albao.
Albao.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. I've never butchered anyone's name to date, and I had Albao ready to go. Anyways, like we were just saying, Nate, or we only knew you as Chubby Linda Swarovski for years.
Yes.
Would you like to give us some insight on where
you
that came from?
You had a large online presence, and you popped up all the time, and
I do. I didn't know that.
You did, yeah.
But, I mean, I saw your name online a lot, but
I hope because of good things, not of scam or anything.
No. And I think we met many times before I knew that was you.
Okay.
And you're not the only one in this city. There's a few other guys in this city, and I went, "That's you? I didn't know that."
Yeah.
I can think of a few off the top of my head, but I'm not going to mention them.
Okay. So the history of Chubby Linda Swarovski is, maybe you know Hazel.
Yes.
Hazel, she used to own a bar called A Bar Somewhere.
Right.
And then there was this girl, I forgot her name, but she's got this polished name, I forgot something ski. Yeah. And she was chubby and pretty, and then we were so fascinated with her family name, and since friends called me, Chubby or Chubby Linda, it's a fact, I'm chubby. So I thought of changing my Facebook name to Chubby Linda Swarovski, and friends liked it, and friends who newfound friends didn't know that it wasn't my real name. Yeah. They didn't know. I have some relatives in the Philippines who were new to Facebook, and then they go message me and say, "I thought your husband was Korean. How come there's a Swarovski in there?" I say it's just an alias.
He's from the north.
Yes. So the Chubby Linda Swarovski Facebook was put down because apparently somebody pro-government, my Facebook was politicized, because I am a very outspoken anti-government. Yeah. How can I say? Anyway, I'm not I dissent a lot of things, but I don't do illegal stuff. I'm just very outspoken with my complaints about my country and how it's run.
Voice your opinions.
Yeah. So those are the perks of democracy, right?
Sure.
So somebody reported my page, my Facebook is very, how can I say, like abusive. That's what they said. So anyway, Facebook goes, you have to prove that you are Chubby Linda Swarovski. You have to produce 3 legal IDs. Like, hello, how do I produce that? So I was never able to retrieve my Chubby Linda Swarovski. That was a 9-year-old Facebook page with my parents' old pictures and memories when my mom when my dad was alive and before my two sisters passed away. It's all there. I begged Facebook to just please send me my pictures. You can keep the page. It never happened.
Oh no way.
So
Someone send this to Zuckerberg.
a lot. Yes.
No, but I think it happens.
Mr. Zuckerberg sucks.
I think it happens a lot, and we had recently made the one for the UKISO at the college, the Ulsan College International Student Organization.
Yeah.
And they sent us within like 2 months, your account has been flagged, please send us 3 pictures of ID. And I was like, but it's not, it's just the student organization account, so there is no ID. So we just canceled it and started another one.
I really tried to fight for it. Friends who knew that I wasn't doing anything illegal or bad, they tried to email Facebook, but no answer. They just stuck to the rule that you need to prove you're Chubby Linda Swarovski. So I used my younger son's name. He doesn't use his Facebook, so from Jeho Guan, which is my son's real name, I changed it to Hermie Albao, which is my real name, so I don't go into the same problem anymore. So now you know who I really am.
Got it.
No more hiding.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, there's another funny story. You know Jenny, right?
Yes.
Jenny.
Yes.
Jenny.
Korean?
No, she's Filipina Jenny who looks like a Korean.
Okay.
So we graduated from the same university, and I'm kind of like, how can I say? Many people know me in my university because how do I say this? I pull people to do private classes for Koreans. Everybody knows many Koreans go to the Philippines to study, and she knows me by Hermie. And then we got married, sadly, to Koreans, and she was in Busan. Sorry about that. So she was in Busan, and then I am in Ulsan, and then she moved to Ulsan, and then a common friend introduced us, saying you go to the same university. So we had dinner, and over coffee, she goes ask me, "Hey Chubby Linda, do you know Hermie?" I said, "What?" Yeah, that's me. What? So she didn't know that I was Hermie because she knew me as Chubby Linda, and she said, "The Hermie I know is slim and this and that." Yeah, we were all once slim, So that's also a funny reveal.
Yeah.
We gotta
those guys around town.
We gotta relynch
Yes.
Skinny Linda Swarovski.
Right. We used to have cheekbones and shoulders coming out. Yes.
I was gonna ask, just recently, you guys have been masters of social media with all these pictures. Did you guys go on a nationwide tour, the 4 of you, or what happened? Because usually you're work.
Which pictures?
You guys are all over the country.
I mean, who guys? Me?
You,
me and my friends.
Jenny and who's, I forget the other two. Anyway,
if they're not pretty, they're not pretty. You don't need to mention them. Just a joke. So anyway, actually, those pictures that you see on Facebook probably are just throwback. How can I say, trips that we did last year? Because if you're a Facebook person, so every day they bring up memories of stuff that you did last year. So what I posted this year, because we've got COVID and we can't travel.
Can't go anywhere,
So most of the stuff posted on my Facebook were trips from last year and maybe 2 years ago. I was in the US. I went to Taiwan. I was in Japan.
Oh, cool.
I was in the beaches of the Philippines.
Yeah, I don't mean those. I mean the ones with your Korean women, man.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You guys are in Pohang. You guys are all over. I don't know if you're on vacation or if you're
coffee shop hopping. When you're part-time jobless.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Not you're overseas. All of a sudden you're coffee shop hopping is a good way to put it. I was like, wow, they go all over to these places.
So with my friends and I, the coffee shop hopping thing is with us, women, we're very easy to console. When we're sad, lonely, depressed and everything, call a friend, drink coffee, and get a good view, and everything is solved. So we have lots of time to move around because we're teachers, and we don't, except for private classes and online classes, we don't do much these days. So that's what we do. We go around visiting nice places, take pictures, and just talk.
How do you find the coffee shops?
Beautiful.
No, I'm sorry. How do you find? How
do we find? Okay.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah.
Like if I see other friends posting pictures of nice coffee shops, we ask.
Okay.
And there's also, I found it somewhere on, I think Ulsan online. Somebody said that there is a Facebook page called Ulsan Tour, and they feature nice spots in Ulsan to visit. So that's how I found some of the nice spots. And then Jenny has a friend who runs a coffee shop, a student friend who runs a coffee shop in Chujon. So that's how we started going there, and then just have the strings of coffee shops by the sea.
Absolutely.
So just one coffee shop a week.
What in your opinion, what constitutes a good coffee shop? What makes the experience for you? Is it the coffee? Is it the view? Does it have to have everything?
You can
Is it the friends that you're with?
You can just have the 3-in-1 coffee from Home Plus and bring a paper cup and hot water, like what we did when we were in Kanjalgot. There's this expensive coffee shop in Kanjalgot called Hamer. So the coffee's like insanely crazy expensive, like 7,000 won.
That's the one that comes from the cat's ass.
Yeah.
They drain.
But anyway, the view, like it's the view from the top of the mountain overlooking the sea is like priceless. So what we did was, the last time we were in Kanjalgot, I brought with me a hot thermos, and 3-in-1 coffee and paper cups. We just took pictures there and had coffee at the back of my SUV. That's the best.
What can see in this? And I think that's a good transition into.
Because we've been to that Hamer for so many times. They're getting rich because of me.
Absolutely.
So, and just a few nights ago, we were in Jinha, and I was also having my 3-in-1 coffee in a paper cup by the beach. I mean, isn't that wonderful?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes.
I was going to say that transitions nicely into the Filipino spirit, or the community, the community feeling that I feel anyways when I'm around Filipinos.
I just wrote.
Keep going.
I just wrote down a few of the words that I think of when I think of Filipinos. And I've been there many times, and I've traveled quite a bit through the Philippines.
Yeah.
I have lots of friends there now. But I put down fun, hardworking, sacrifice. I think they're always making the sacrifice. They're always willing to make the sacrifice.
Yep.
Resilience, whether it's the typhoons or whether it's living abroad and people stomping on you.
Yep.
They just seem so resilient.
Yes.
And somehow to always make it work.
Yep.
That things that scare the shit out of us at home in the West is a non-factor. Just, hey, this is life. We deal with it and we move on. And I feel that's a common trait in a lot of countries that aren't in the West, that they deal with these things a lot better than something that just happens or appears, or a catastrophe in the West. The highs are so high and the lows are so low.
Yeah.
There's
just to add on to that, when I was leaving Boracay last year, as we were checking out, we had become familiar with the front desk lady, starting small talk with her, and she ended up saying like, oh yeah, these days a little bit difficult because of the typhoon that rolled through.
Yeah.
I said, well, how did it affect you? She goes, oh, it blew my house down.
Yeah.
And I went, what do you mean?
Are you okay?
Oh, you don't have a house? She goes, me and my brother and sister, we're renting a house, but it's fine. Like, you lost, your whole house blew down. She was like unaffected by it. She goes, well, I can still come to work here. And then when I go home, I'm with my family. It's okay. Like, I was, man, your house blowing down. I couldn't imagine trying to recover from something like that.
It seems so less me, and only about me, and
that's so true.
And I think that's what happens in the super capitalist countries, that you lose focus of that importance or what's important, because that's why I like the developing countries, because the people are so real and raw
and less materialistic
and so easy to connect with, and they don't have all that stuff. And
right.
When I go home and everyone has the stuff and there's still all the problems, it's like, this is all the stuff that's making all the problems. Right. Get rid of the stuff that you think is going to solve the problems.
You have less stuff, you have less problems.
You mentioned Bar Somewhere? Bar Nowhere?
Yep. Bar Somewhere.
That was the basement. That was in the basement?
That was before basement appeared, right.
Oh, no, so wasn't in a basement?
No, Bar Somewhere was on the second floor by the Nonghyop in Songnam-dong, and basement is...
Oh, the name was Basement?
There's basement and there's Bar Somewhere. These are two different bars owned by the same person.
Okay. Well, we used to do an annual tour around Ulsan for the 12 bars of Christmas. We'd go to 12 bars, do some.
But they're gone now.
I know, but one year we went. It was the final stop on the bar. We went in. Again, we had never been there before. Didn't know anyone in there. We walked in. There's a full buffet. There's a full buffet downstairs. Sit down, guys. Have it. And we're rolling 12 mooses, man. Come on, sit down. Have some of the. Right. And they're feeding food. And it's like, where do we pay for this? Pay? Are you crazy, guys? Keep eating. That was quite the experience.
If that was a
so
Christmas
welcoming.
Party, if it was a Christmas party, it could be the mood. Right.
So I just wrote down a few here.
Okay.
12. I mean, everywhere I've gone, I think I'm over 80 countries.
Wow.
And everywhere I've gone, you find the Filipinos. There's 12 million, approximately, from the numbers online. 12 million Filipinos living abroad. And they remitted $32 billion last year, which is almost a third of the GDP of the Philippines.
Right.
And I think they're well known as the biggest remitter of foreign currencies to the country.
That is so true.
So, one, they're everywhere. Everywhere you go, you can find Filipinos.
That's true.
Talk to us a little bit about this. What we said, the spirit, the Filipinos living abroad. What is it like at home? Do many people have intentions? When I meet Filipinos in the Philippines, they say, "Oh, my brother's in Calgary, my aunt's in Los Angeles, my cousin's in San Francisco." And I'm like, do you know where are you from in Canada? I got lots of family there.
Right.
Like everybody knows someone who's where I've been.
Right.
Or where I've been.
My wife did a homestay with a Filipino in Canada. Yeah.
So like me, I have lots of relatives in the U.S. So it was very easy for me to visit the U.S. 2 years ago because I have relatives there. So anyway, it's like Filipinos being all over the world. Number one, the key here is language. We are one of the best English speakers among the non-native speakers that people...
Philippines and India, probably.
Right.
You're educated in English, correct?
Of course, yes. I mean, me personally, the school that I attended, we use English primarily as the medium of instruction. So me growing up in the Philippines, in the capital, Manila, everything was in English. I grew up watching Sesame Street.
Yeah. Cool.
That's funny.
See? Right? Yeah. So
just if I was there that many years ago and went there and you were watching Sesame Street, it'd just blow my mind.
Right. See? But this is how we grew up. Everything on TV that I watched was in English. The books in school in English. So it's like I'm that on that side, on that part, and on that note, I am very grateful and thankful for the, how English, was just easily, injected to our culture. But sadly, this was through invasion and not really invasion. How can I say? It's like we were partially controlled by the U.S. after the war, but because of this English education, we are partly grateful. So number one is the language. We all know that English is the universal language of business, of work, of everything. So when you have English, you get to go anywhere.
Opportunity.
Yes.
But it's not even just. I'll let you get onto it, but it can't be just English even.
Yes,
it says there's 4 million Filipinos in the States, but the next 10 countries aren't English-speaking countries.
But
Japan, Kuwait, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates, Saudi, and I understand that. Yeah, they're probably working with foreign families or something there.
Right.
English,
okay. So number one, it's reason why we are easily hired. We have lots of foreign workers in other countries. Number one, it's the language. Number two is education. Okay, personally speaking, the school where I attended follows an American system. Okay, so my school was built by Americans after World War II. So the curriculum, everything is patterned after American school. So that's how we started.
Is that typical, or is that typical only to Manila, or is that nationwide?
It used to be was typical of private schools in Manila. But these days, we do the integrated system, like the American system school. So, yeah, we've upgraded.
So even in the smaller provinces, now it would...
Only if you have a private school in the provinces, then you'll have that system. But other than that, it's just basically public school with 50 kids and one teacher. So I'm quite lucky I was able to get a good education. Okay. So anyways, it's the language. And number two... I saw a Facebook post the other day that, developing countries are not poor. You know, we have all the natural resources. We have all the manpower. The problem is the capitalist countries are taking that away from us and making us poor.
I mean, Africa is the richest continent in the world by
but
far.
they have the poorest people, right? So the Philippines is not a poor country, but the capitalists made us poor by sucking out every resources they can suck out of us, leaving nothing to us. And this is what forces Filipinos to go out.
And Boracay is a classic example of millions or billions of dollars on this side of the road, and then, pennies or tens of dollars on the backside, living side by side.
You've got two worlds
it's
separated by
contrast.
a fence.
I had such a crazy experience there walking along White Beach and seeing two, I don't want to say feral children, but they had grown up pretty rough.
We street kids.
A street kid, like with the backdrop of these really nice hotels and in pristine swimming pools and nice things. And these kids are running around like trying to grab anything out of the garbage, and the security guys are like, "Get out of here, get out of here!" Right. And I was like, "How does this exist in the same?" Yeah. To walk from front to back of the island is like 20 minutes.
But this is the sad truth.
But it's all over, right? I mean, my first experience with that was spring breaks in Mexico. You go to the resorts and it's millions of dollars flowing, and then the people are on the beach are begging for pesos.
Because the resort, you cannot find the resorts in the middle of the city. That's why they're all in the provinces, outskirts, where how can I say, education, financial help, and government attention does not really reach them. This is the sad reality of it all.
I think of Singapore as another classic example.
Right.
If you're in the front part of the city with the bay and all the buildings and all the iconic pictures and places you think of, and then you go to the north, to the backside where all the immigrant workers are and everything else, and you go, wow, this is like a time warp between the southern part of the city, and it's not that big, and the northern part with all the
a few steps and you're in another world.
Absolutely. So this is what drives Filipinos abroad.
Yeah.
And what is it? Do parents encourage that? Is it seen as you're lucky, or do people want to go abroad? I mean, what is it? Because there's so many.
Okay, so there are several factors that drive Filipinos to go and work as foreign workers. Number one is, of course, poverty. Okay, I mean, if you have a 4-year degree and you're jobless, or you're just packing in a supermarket, so what use is it of? Nothing, right? So we try to find better paying jobs in other countries. Poverty, number one. Number two is relatives who are in other countries who open doors for you. It's like we've got many Filipinos in Italy who work in the farms, who are, how can I say, like babysitters. So if I get married to an Italian and then I get to bring my family, so that's how it starts. If you're married to an American or a Canadian, you get a citizenship and you get to invite family, and then after a few years the whole clan is in Canada.
Open the doors,
right?
Open the floodgates.
Yes, so that's how it actually starts. Number one is just simply poverty, and then family relations. When you have relatives in other countries opening doors for you, of course you go grab it.
When people are going abroad, not for marriage, but just to work, do most people leave with the intent of coming back, or saying like, this is my ticket out, I'm going, I'm staying?
Actually,
I'm going and just going to see what happens. I might end up in 6 countries, or
actually there's no telling if I just go work and I'm gonna go back, or if I go there and let's just cross the bridge when we get there. Who knows? But most cases is like just 3. Actually, they end up in 3 situations. One, they end up staying because they get married to a local. Number 2, it depends on the country. Some countries get to employ you like as long as the employer wants to work with you. So you get to...
So based on visa.
Right.
Based on work visa.
So if you're like working for the same person in the same country for like 15 years, there are countries which allow you to get a partial citizenship or like a residency. So people get to stay there. And like in Korea, this is a known fact that many Filipinos choose to stay illegally. Yes,
But-
because of the visa extension options in Korea are very limited and unfair. You know, so they just opt to stay illegally.
But I think like when they think of going abroad or when they make the decision to go abroad, is it I'm gonna go and make this much money and
Yes.
come home and start a business? Or is
Yes.
it I'm gonna make this much money? Oh, the money tastes too good. I'm gonna keep sending it home to my brother so he can run the business and start it. And I'm gonna keep sending
Well,
money.
it depends. It depends on how that person's brain work. You know, some people. That's why we call it financial literacy programs, because some people
in your schools.
no. Here in Korea,
Oh,
we
okay.
do financial literacy programs for overseas Filipino workers, because you know the money that we earn here in Korea is like a lot compared to what you will earn in the Philippines. But when you're not financially literate, it just
Disappears.
Yes, it just disappears. Like, I'm gonna do a business, but if you're not running your own business and you're not there, and the people handling your finances are not trustworthy, you're a victim.
Something popped up in the chat the other day. The what do you call the foreign leaders chat? They were offering. It seemed like, oh, what a great deal. They were offering loans at like 20%.
Yes, that is true, but only for Filipinos with legal visas.
Doesn't that seem a bit?
Seems like loan.
Oh,
shark.
that 20%. No, those are from the loan sharks. You know, but those were the loan sharks. You know.
No, but it was posted in one of the community leaders groups. I think like from Mrs. Kim or somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like it was
Or
more
could
it
be
was
a
it was like
scam.
16% or so. I went like, whoa, is that the treatment people are getting? For...
Actually, how can I say? It's like a private loan shark. So me, I have lots of money. You don't have a visa. Who's gonna lend you money?
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, So what we do is, okay, for 16%, I'm gonna lend you money, and then I keep your passport. I keep your ID.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
own you.
That's and that's a hard hold to
Yes,
to dig yourself
and
out of, too.
because of that very, very bad loaning scheme, we've got the small lending banks of Korea entering the foreign communities. You know, they now offer legal lending schemes that only acquire very little. How can I say? What you call that? Like, I forgot the word. It's like, oh gosh.
Or like proof of work.
No. It's like with little. How
Interest?
Yeah, interest.
Interest.
Very little interest. Like, if you can provide all the legal papers, like you do your tax.
That's how it should be. They should be helping you, not putting you in a
Yes,
worse
exactly.
situation, right?
So, you know, as we all know, usually your own, you know, we could say comrade or countryman, same Filipino, same Canadian would be scamming you in your own country, you know. It usually happens like that.
Yeah.
So anyways,
A sad reality.
How connected do you stay to the Philippines? How long have you been here? 20-something years?
23, going 24.
How connected do you still feel, or are you to the Philippines? Either, I don't know, either direct, like with your family and going back and forth, or you feel like you have your Filipino community here, so that keeps you connected to everything going on back home, but you feel kind of more Korean, or how connected do you stay with the Philippines?
Oh my
being here so long.
Okay. How can I say? Work, family keeps me connected here in Korea. You know, I have a Korean citizenship, so I try to follow Korean rules and everything, but my flesh and blood is Filipino. The culture and traditions are still with me, especially that I belong to a very big Filipino community here in Korea. So it's like there's no way I could ever be disconnected. Basically, that's it.
So it must be very comforting.
Super.
When you came 20-something years ago,
Yep.
did that exist, or has it
my.
grown so much in the last 10, 15 years?
It's like so different. I
Right.
don't know. I mean, how can I say? I arrived here in 1997, and the first 2 years I wanted to leave this country. I didn't care if I divorced my husband at that time. I just wanted to bring my son and then leave and go back home or go to the US because of the discrimination I suffered here in this country. You know, it was so terrible.
The first hint I ever had at that was at our community leaders meeting in 2008, and they were like, "Oh, Brian, what do you think?" I was like, "I don't know. I go to a Hagwon every day. I don't have anything really to contribute. I don't know even know how I got invited there." But you spoke up and you were saying, "And this happened to me, and this is what's happening to our community." And I was like, "Oh my God, there's some real hardships coming."
Oh my gosh! So being fair is already a blessing, guys. Because anyways, that's how the discrimination. I teach, I work hard because I don't need actually to compete, but this is not a secret anymore that me and my friends have to work double just to be at the same, just to earn the same respect and be acknowledged as you guys. We all know this, that there are many Filipino teachers in Ulsan, but not everyone is, not everyone is deserving, or not everyone is like qualified.
Right.
So it's very sad to say that, but this is a fact. This is a reality. So for me, this is my real profession. I was a teacher before I came to Korea. We have to work double, to be where we are right now and to get the acknowledgement. It's like
we've always said a 3 or 4 year arts degree from home with D pluses can come over here and be respected as a teacher, when someone who has a master's in education and is a high school, elementary school qualified teacher in the Philippines, who's brought up in English or an English education system their whole life, is not even considered for the same position.
Yes, that's very, very sad. And I'll tell you, the first time I was teaching, the first time that I came to Korea, a friend introduced me to teach in Gongoptap. So this is in Deco. It's still there, but now they're doing Japanese classes only. So there was this teacher working with me. And, I'm Filipino, I'm brown. It's like, you teaching? So I really had to work double, So the system was like 70-30. 70-30. The boss gets 70, I get 30 or 40 per student that I gather in my class. So I have to make myself a star teacher to get the students. So that's how we divided the salary.
Muna Center kind of deal.
Yep. Yeah. So there's this guy. I can't remember if he's Canadian or American.
Probably American.
Probably American. So anyways, so there was this guy who was doing classes at the same time with me. So we have two groups, mine and his. And then come salary time, the boss says, you earn more than the native teacher. So what am I going to do? I did my job. I got this much because it was a 70-30 sharing, And then the boss tells me, you can't get more than the native teacher gets. But why not? And then, you know what? I was copying some stuff, and I used this imyeonji, the used paper, because it was blank. And when I flipped it over, I saw this teacher's resume, and it says there that his only working experience was at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sure.
Goodness, yeah.
I think it happens all the time here.
I was
not only that,
shocked.
but
oh my gosh.
I've met many people from the 6 native countries, whatever they call it,
right,
that speak terrible English. I'm not saying mine's good or bad, but some of, like, the Irish have a really hard accent to understand.
I know.
Wales, the French Canadians. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but I would take the Filipino teacher any day if they're concerned about English and ease of listening and pronunciation.
Neutral pronunciation.
Right. And I always used to tell, or still tell, mothers, and when I teach the Ajuma classes, that save your money. Why are you going to Canada, the UK, New Zealand, Australia? Go to the Philippines. It's a third or a quarter of the price, and you get the same thing.
Right.
In Canada, your teacher might be a Filipino.
That's true.
You might go to Vancouver to study and have 5 Filipino teachers because there's that many Filipinos there. So,
do you think the discrimination's driven by the Hagwon owners or by the academy owners, or is that a knee-jerk reaction to parents who view a white Westerner as more valuable?
This standard of the native English teacher being Caucasian was actually created by the Japanese and the Koreans. It's actually them who started that. Because, of course, when you are a non-English speaking country and you need to study English, you don't go to a Filipino to study English because they didn't know about us being English speakers, you know. So that is how it started. You know, the TOEIC tests and the TOEFL tests were created by the Japanese, and that's anyway. They were the ones who made this idea of the native English speakers being Caucasian.
Because I remember even as the industry grew in the early 2000s, I mean, having a Korean Canadian, Korean American, African American, Filipino Canadian, or Australian or South African they were not treated the same because
of skin color.
You can't be American, you can't be Canadian, you can't be British.
Yes.
Oh, we were waiting for the white teacher.
Right.
And even if, I mean, you had a passport, born and raised, third generation American, they would argue that you're not American. So I think Korea's come a long way.
That's true.
It's evolved a lot,
Right.
especially this new generation. They're much more global. They're much more open-minded.
Right.
And that's the good part, is it's really moving in the right direction.
Right. I have already forgiven Korea for being the frogs in the well.
One of my favorite proverbs.
Right.
Yeah.
Like years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but actually, you know, the little kids, they didn't have any idea who's American and who's
Right.
not. When I was just new here in Korea, the neighbors, the kids in the neighborhood, whenever they saw a foreigner, they just thought Miguk Saram.
Yeah.
But it's the adults who taught them to discriminate between colors.
Right.
you
But
know?
that's in my country. That's all over the world. I mean, babies don't know discrimination. They're taught by their society.
Yeah, so when they saw me, they would say, Miguk Saram, Miguk Saram. Every foreigner was Miguk Saram to them.
Sure.
Until the adults came.
Yeah.
Until the adults came. And also, personal experience again, working. My bosses, they said, you know, Hermie, you're good. I talk to you on the phone, you're okay. Your pronunciation is neutral. But when you come to class, please introduce yourself as someone who studied in the U.S.
Yes.
Did I say yes?
Under the alias Chubby Linda
Yes.
Swarovski.
No, I wasn't called Chubby Linda. I have Mimi, I have Linda,
Yeah.
I have Chubby Linda.
Yeah.
But at the time when they asked me to introduce myself as someone who studied in the U.S., did I say yes? Yes, I did. For the first few years. Why? Because I needed work.
Sure. Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that.
And after establishing my name and proving my worth, you know,
Right.
like I'm a good teacher, I work hard. Okay?
And you have a resume and you have
Right.
references to back you up.
Right.
Now you don't have to do that.
Whenever I quit a hagwon, the Wanjang names now call me. I don't apply anymore until I got sick and tired of working in a hagwon.
Right.
And then I switched to after school.
But this stuff hasn't changed. I mean, the guys that I used to get or help get from UNIST, and usually Kazakhs or Uzbeks, and the Ghanaians, like they always, when I would go pick up the kids, or I was working there a little bit at one of the kindergartens, and they'd say, "Do you know John?" And I'm like, "Who's John?"
Right.
His name is Abdullah Tata Asif. Oh no, he's John. And it still goes on now. And luckily for you now, and you've built up your reputation, your image, you don't have to. But I mean, how many of the Ghanaians that have worked, and how many of
What's up, Jay? East Marshall?
East Marshall, he would put his name down and they'd say, sorry, no. But now he changed. He has an alias on Facebook, East Marshall. And now he's taken seriously. Hey, grew up in the States, studied in the States.
I never
Okay.
thought of that because me being Chubby Linda Swarovski is not for me to sound Western or like Hagwonish teacher. No.
But when you have that strong Russian name or Muslim name, boom, you don't have a chance of getting a teaching job. And
I
these are
never
again,
thought of that.
these
really.
these are kids who were educated in English from the beginning. They speak great English or very fluent English, and they're discriminated just because of the name that they apply with.
Right.
And now that they say, "Hey, I'm John from the States," okay, yeah, come on, no problem. And it still blows my mind that all you have to do is change your name, and now you're accepted.
I read it never crossed my mind really.
Yeah.
That these are there are people who do that. I mean, I thought it was just us Filipinos being discriminated. It's just the name, right?
You talked about lying about your credentials. That's I know a lot of even current Wanjangs who, you know, when I worked with them, oh, Brian, I graduated from, you know, I was in the States and I graduated from Momomo University. Then a few years later, working with my wife, oh, do you know this Wanjang? He graduated from Momomo in England.
In England.
bullshit, I know that guy. He told me he graduated from the state, and everyone's lying. I had one guy I used to work with. His English was brutal. Brutal. He was one of those guys that he'd throw in like the word of the day. He'd come in with this $10 word and try and make his English sound better, but like semi-fluent at best in just everyday conversation. Brian, I graduated from the University of British Columbia. I'm like, dude, I can't even get in there. That's a hard place to get in. You can't even speak English. There's no way you graduated with an undergrad from there. So,
oh my God,
everyone's
sorry
got
to
their
those Wonjangs, but I know a handful who are like that.
Yeah.
It persists. It's still lots of the same things are still going on, just in different forms. And I think of now the moms might be a little more open, and I keep referring back to 2008 when they had the big epic intake, and there was probably 30 or 40 African Americans who came.
The epic.
And then because it was the government who had organized it, it was kind of okay. But still, no private teacher or private Wanjang named director would hire a black person because that's their personal business. But in public schools, it was kind of widely accepted after that. But now you think if someone goes home and says, "Oh, Mom, Linda teacher wasn't there today. We had Deontay, or we had Mustafa, or we had," That doesn't sound like Bob, Chris, John, or Ryan.
Or Eric.
I'm going to call the director and see who's teaching.
All right.
So when those guys change their names to John, Bob, Chris, Bill, and Peter, there's no problem. Hey, Mom, we had a new teacher today. Who was it? Peter teacher.
Or
okay.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Right? But it's amazing. Like if the kids told the parents, "Oh, we had Peter teacher today," no problem. But if they said a different one, Mom might say, "I'm going to call your teacher and see who the heck that was. Who was teaching you today?"
The flavor.
Obama teacher came.
But the flavor of the week's going to change. I remember even at the kindergarten.
This is really like something so new to me. I never thought that, even U.S. passport holders with, Islam or Muslim sounding names or, Indian sounding names get discriminated. I thought it was just us, really.
I don't know if it's an embarrassing thing, but when I was working at the kindergarten, they needed a full-time teacher, and there was a girl who applied, and her name was like a really Indian name, and I had to ask her, like,
Priyanka Chopra.
No, it was. I think she's still
long.
here. She's married to a Korean guy, but she said, "Oh, I have an F visa and I'm available to work." And I said, "Like, I have to ask if I brought you in and you have a very thick accent, the Wanjang who I'm very close with, she's gonna be choked." And she goes, "I was born and raised, 20 minutes away from my hometown." I went
gosh.
"Oh, what an idiot!" I felt so stupid for asking, but
I don't do that. I just tell one of them, "Listen, you want a teacher? You got a teacher."
Right.
This is it. It doesn't matter. The kids have no idea. The kids have no idea. This is your problem. It's not the moms. The kids have no clue. It's you and maybe some of the moms. And
you've probably seen me bump into some people on Facebook regarding rates about native speakers and non-native speakers who are trying to get jobs, and somebody goes is like, you're not from the 7 English-speaking countries, you can't get a job, you're not a native speaker. So like, I'm sick and tired of that native English speaker stuff. Who even made that word in the first place, It's like a native speaker does not have color. If you are able to teach the language and you're able to communicate in that language and teach it fluently, you are a teacher. You can be called a teacher.
But for them, it's so much easier to say, we don't know and we don't want to test everyone and catch everyone. So just white people from these 6 countries, okay, right? That's their simple way to just cut it without having to
default
to filter
and
everyone.
You guys, I know you've been to Thailand and Indonesia, and did you know that even in China, many foreign teachers there are Filipinos.
Sure, everywhere.
I
tell the directors here, listen, you're way easier to find a good and reliable Filipino teacher than a foreigner who just looking for more money and wants to fill in and
go, backpack traveling, maybe.
But I said lots of these Filipinos are rooted here. They have reasons to stay here. They're more reliable, more dedicated, and they have a lot of experience, more experience than most of the English native teachers that we call them. So you've had a pretty successful teaching career. All that being said, business and academies, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want now.
Yeah, it used to be the case, but after the pandemic, it's like I call myself a part-time jobless teacher.
Right.
Part-time jobless. I coined that word.
Having the time off, does it give you time to think about the future of teaching? Or
Yeah, actually, we have a small Facebook group for Filipino teachers in Ulsan, and we were actually meaning to do a training for ourselves so we can upgrade the skills of Filipino teachers so that we don't get discriminated, but it was stopped because of the pandemic. And then we also discussed there the future of after school and academies for us, because it's very, very difficult for us to compete for a working slot with you guys, because you know how color-based Korea is. So we have been thinking of, some have been offering online classes. The prospect of online classes and having Filipino teachers. Anyway, it's been going on for so many years. I forgot what you call this face-to-face app.
Zoom.
Not Zoom. Before Zoom. I forgot how you call it.
VIP Kids?
I can't remember.
Is it from the Philippines?
No. It's from the US. Before we had Kakao.
Skype, yeah.
We've been Skyping and doing Yahoo Messenger online classes. We could go back to that. We already thought about that. But asking the parents, they said, we want physical classes. Yeah. It's like they opt for the physical classes, but this is not the best time to have them. So, okay. And then, our social distancing level goes back to level 1, and the kids going back to school every day now. So we were like, oh my God, there's a glimmer of hope, know? It's like we can go back to school. And then in the chat room, messages like, our school has lots of kids, so we can't do after school. It's like we're still gonna be doing the alternate, physical attendance, blah blah blah. And then me going to a meeting today saying that our school has the enough amount of kids to attend, and maybe we will be given a day to do our after. It's like, thank God.
Something, right? Something.
Yeah, it's really something, right?
What was it like? Or I'm curious how you were perceived when you start doing company classes at SK or at National Oil Varco or someone.
Right.
How are you perceived when you go? I mean, you speak English as well as anybody.
Thank you.
How are you perceived when you go in there, or what is the first impression, or how are you taken by businessmen?
Okay, number 1, when you do business class, you have to look respectable. We work on this. I don't look like this. I don't look like this. I do full makeup. I do my hair. I wear high heels. I wear a skirt. Number 1, who's gonna discriminate you when you're looking good, right? Number 2, I tell them I'm from the Philippines. With, you overdo your class, and then where are you from? I'm from the Philippines. Wow! And then they stop looking at you as Filipino. Right. The next thing that comes to their mind is Boracay. I'm gonna go there and dive. Yeah. So that's how we establish the positive relationship. First, you have to look respectable. You're a teacher, act like one. That's how I do it.
I think
good advice.
And I think your attitude going in as well is very important. If you're going in thinking like, oh, these guys are going to discriminate against me, you have to, I think, setting a positive mindset for yourself is a very important thing.
And having the confidence, but that's hard if you don't have the experience. You got lots of experience from lots of different fields.
I have lots of experience. I know I am qualified. I know why I was hired.
And that's
I
part
know
of the one of the biggest parts is knowing that you can do the job.
Exactly.
And knowing that you can be confident in telling them, listen, I'm the teacher, listen to me, and I'm going to show you.
Right.
But
I know how to do this.
That's something you can share within you said you have your Filipino teachers community there too. So that's something that you can pass on to the next.
We whenever there is a personality development seminar coming up for free, I usually encourage them to go and check this out, because it's going to help you, especially when you're just a new teacher, because being a teacher is like you're how can I say, you're born with it. You cannot just decorate a person and one day you're a teacher. No, it's very difficult to teach a person how to teach when it's not in your blood. It's not in your system to teach. I can only advise.
Something you have to cultivate yourself.
Right.
I think it's very easy to see if you observe classes it's very blatant who is
and who's not.
It's very, very easy to see.
My gosh.
Okay,
Yes.
you just mentioned Boracay. I find too it's an easy connector between the Koreans and the Filipinos.
Right.
There's a very good connection these days between Korea and the Philippines. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the two countries? And I mean, every Korean now seems to have gone or want to go or know someone who's been to, and not just Boracay, but Cebu and Palawan now and Baguio.
Baguio.
Sorry. And I've been working with a bunch of the local police chiefs who are training for overseas jobs, and one of their first choices is always the Philippines.
Right.
And one of the reasons is that there's a lot of Koreans there, and that has resulted in a lot of extortion cases with Koreans running around with all their money in smaller town Philippine communities. So what is the relationship like? Is there a mutual respect? Recently, the Filipino TikTok superstar had the
tattoo
on her
everything,
eyes.
right?
How do you? Is there a mutual respect? And because I mean, the Koreans are huge contributor to the tourist economy,
and we are a huge contributor to their tourism as well.
And to the local economy of agriculture and education. And
Right.
I mean, the Filipinos do a lot of work here.
So okay, this love story between Korea and the Philippines goes back to the Korean War. You
Right.
know, so the Koreans feel they are deeply indebted to the Filipinos because we helped them during the Korean War of when was that? 1950 to 53, right? So being like a brother, we sent troops to Korea.
7,000.
Right. We sent troops here to Korea to back up the Korean army, but unfortunately most of the Filipinos we sent died because not of the war, because of the cold.
Yeah.
You know,
Were they in
ironically,
Busan?
ironically, most of the soldiers that we sent died because of the, terrible winters of Korea.
You had 123 deaths.
Right. Okay. So that's how the relationship, I mean, the love story between Korea and the Philippines started. So they feel really, really deeply indebted to us because of the Korean War, and they're trying to always accommodate us in every possible way they can. Thus, we have this memorandum of agreement between the Philippines and Korea that deploys Filipinos to Korea to work. That's number one. That's why one of the top choices for overseas workers here in Korea are Filipinos.
Interesting.
Yes, and then since you mentioned about the Filipino American who had this Japanese tattoo and the TikTok stuff, I'm not a TikToker. Oh my God, I'm excused to anybody who's doing TikTok, but I'm not really a big fan. I can like.
Nate's a big TikToker.
You do?
Oh my god.
I never saw him.
He told me to
He
download it.
listen.
I downloaded it for 5 minutes, and I went, I'm going to waste my life swiping left. And I deleted it, and he was still going for months after.
You do TikTok, anyways.
No, Nate does
So
push-ups on
anyways,
TikTok.
I was not aware. I was not aware until my young nieces and nephews and the youngsters in the Philippines started uploading stuff about that. And then my students would one day just ask me, "Teacher, what do you think about which one? This TikTok clash?" I said, "Let's not even start. It's a waste of time. These are, how can I say, like issues of youngsters who don't have anything more important to do in their lives. I have a real job. I don't do TikTok. I don't earn from that. But it's actually like, how can I say? It's like lack of information on both sides. And we just saw this Korean boy ripping and spitting and burning the Philippine flag. Right. Of course, the youngsters his age they were, raging with anger. It's like, how dare he do that to the fellas? Like, us older people, like, one day he's gonna say sorry.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like that's how we just look at it. And then luckily, many Koreans were uploading videos of them saying, he doesn't know any better. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. So he's gonna go in jail. So don't worry about it. We're really, really sorry. We like you, Filipinos.
But how does that affect even the tattoo of the girl and the kid burning the flag? How does that affect like the country as a whole, or how does that reflect?
Psyche.
Yeah, like it's
actually,
one girl with a rising sun tattoo. Yes, it's deeply offensive to Koreans who were oppressed by the thing.
But not everyone, not all her TikTok audience are Koreans. She cannot.
Not even that, but like first of all, she obviously didn't do it with the intention of angering Koreans.
Yeah, exactly.
And how does her having that?
I think, did she remove it? I don't have any ideas.
I read. I think she planned to get it removed or covered up, but
I don't even know how it started, because I was not really interested.
The uproar about it, I find it very interesting. I don't know how much of an effect one girl's tattoo can have. It's not she gets it and suddenly people are hypnotized and we hate Korea, pro Japan.
No.
That doesn't happen.
Filipinos here in Korea just brushed it off, really, that issue. Yeah, we just brushed it off because we live in this country and we know how Koreans are to the Filipinos. Not all Koreans are mean to us. I mean, like any country you go, there will be mean people and there's no nationality of a mean person.
Absolutely.
So it's like we are, how can I say, we just brushed it off. Koreans are very nice to us, so we don't need to take it seriously or even talk about it. Problem is Filipinos who are not in Korea.
Yeah, right.
They made an issue about it, and anyway, it has been settled, I think.
Do you find lots of similarities between Korean and Filipino culture? I mean, you've had.
I can only think of the major difference rather than the similarities.
Okay.
Well, as you know, Filipinas are Filipinas. I mean, women. Filipino women.
We were talking about that earlier.
Okay, so Filipino is the Philippine people in
as
general.
A whole. Okay.
And Filipino man and Filipina woman.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so Filipinas, these are the women of the Philippines, are basically very independent. We're very independent. You don't like me, I don't like you. Okay, I'm gonna give you babies, but let me work. Okay, I give you babies, I work, I have a family that I will give money even if they don't need my support. It could be like that. I give you babies, I work, I earn money, I send money to my family because they need my support. So we Filipinas, Filipinos in general, whether family back home needs support or not, it is in our culture to help.
That's very interesting.
Always. We need to send money home, whether they need it or not. We have to send money home.
Is that what's the drive behind that? Is that like a guilt because you left the family?
It's not really the guilt, but I don't know. I mean, it's like
just the
filial.
Okay.
We call it filial piety, loyalty to parents and family. That's, it's like we think that we need to repay our parents for the sacrifices they did for us
growing up.
Us growing up. It's like some kids these days think that education is like your responsibility to us. We don't need to repay you. But I was thinking, what if my mother decided not to send me to school?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So these are the reasons why. Yeah.
You probably have a different opinion than I do, or maybe the same. But I look at the job Manny Pacquiao does, and he's famed around the world. He's one of my favorite boxers ever.
Yep.
But the work he does at home is one of the things that I think will be his legacy.
That's true.
Is he regarded the same within the Philippines? I mean, when we go there and we talk to kids, Manny Pacquiao,
right.
everybody. But now that he's gotten into politics and not just doing the good work, and now he's into politics and stuff, does he have that reputation also amongst Filipinos or no?
Of course, yes. So actually, Manny Pacquiao is like a Philippine pride, He's brought only positive stuff for the Filipinos, Every time he wins, like the Philippines is on the newspaper all over, right? So that brings us pride. And, from all the negative and bad stuff about the Philippines, there comes Pacquiao who brings something really, really nice. All the bad stuff are erased suddenly.
Right.
And then did you know that every time there's a Manny Pacquiao fight in the Philippines, there's
no crime,
no traffic, and no crime.
Yeah, I heard that.
I remember one of his last fights here, and everyone is still gonna go watch that fight. Not go to work today, whatever. That fight's on, we're all going to watch it, all the Filipinos.
Yes. Or you go to work early, so you can go watch him while at work. But this is a real, how can I, strange truth that there's no traffic and zero crime whenever Manny Pacquiao has a fight. So this guy...
That's like when Canada's playing hockey.
So when this guy is like into his boxing, it's like, oh, everything nice, everything good, like you should stay there. But after he went into politics, it's like, oh my gosh, there is a comedian in Congress, in the Senate, in government.
He's not taken seriously?
Was not taken seriously because I don't know, this guy does not know how to decide for himself. You know, as many politicians are, you know, when whoever is seated, you try to side with them. So Manny Pacquiao, everybody knows that he was not educated before becoming a senator, and then people, you know, looking down on him, you becoming a senator out of fame, you don't even know law, blah blah blah. So he studied, but he just finished it in 3 months. Who's gonna take him seriously?
But sometimes that might not be necessary. Here's the poor kid raised he's from one of the smaller
Then
provinces.
he better be a philanthropist, not a senator.
But he does a lot of philanthropy, and through that
He better stick to that.
But through that, he's learned and seen how the system works, right? Like through experience. So, for example, if you grow up watching your dad working on the farm, do you have to have a PhD in agriculture to be one of the best farmers? No. Not at all.
Actually, today I was looking on Facebook, and that somebody posted about the Canadian Parliament having the minister of something being a farmer, and the minister of something being a doctor. This being compared to the government of the Philippines, you know, like Duterte is putting every general in most positions he can find, you know. So what we're saying is like, I mean, if you have the experience and the knowledge, you know, you go to politics. But the problem with Pacquiao is he has the heart to serve, but he lacks the education. I mean, we say, you know, if you want to serve, you don't need to be educated. This guy is
Hold on. Donald Trump is the president.
Oh, he's American. I don't care about him, you know.
But don't
Americans
you think
chose him.
Don't you think that that's what Pacquiao would surround his team with, people who, hey, Manny, that's not okay, or we can do that.
Problem is a problem is because Manny Pacquiao is so rich, nobody has the nerve to call him. Yeah.
To call him out?
Yeah, that is the problem. It's like every word he said, oh, okay. This guy does not have a. I'm not an expert on law or whatever, but basic knowledge. You know, this guy sometimes, you know, talks about laws that are against existing laws. It's like that's how he is. He quotes from the Bible to prove or to support his stand about something. You know, it's like, how can you talk about God when you support evil stuff? Okay? I don't understand that. So there's a famous singer in the Philippines. His name is Francis Magalona, and he says, how can you talk peace when you have a gun?
Right. I think
this is the problem with this guy.
I think regardless of his knowledge regarding Parliament or the laws or whatever, there's still a lot more worse politicians out there.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't mean in the Philippines. I mean around the world.
Yes,
he's got the heart. He's traveled the world.
Yeah.
He might not be formally educated like some politicians, but I really value the experience and him traveling and working through the ranks, and now, you know, having gone through the career he's gone through, he's seen a lot of things that most Filipinos haven't seen before.
Because, you know, we all know that this guy is now sitting as a senator out of fame.
Will he run for president, do you think?
I hope not.
But he plans to.
I don't know. He didn't message me yet. You know.
He sent his DM to Chubby Linda.
I hope not, because he's already good at being a philanthropist,
right.
doing. I mean, even a better job at helping poor people. I think he should stick to that.
Anyway,
he's always absent in Congress. You know.
Right.
He's always absent.
He's only got 2 fights left, 1 or 2 fights left, and then he's going to be
Conor McGregor.
Then he's going to be full on.
Oh my God! I mean, why did he choose McGregor? He's gonna die. It's like a death sentence, you know.
Really?
Of course.
For Conor McGregor?
No, for Pacquiao.
I think Manny's going to spank him
In a boxing match?
Yeah.
I mean,
Pacquiao's gonna destroy him. Yeah. If it was MMA, he'd be dead. But Pacquiao's gonna rip him.
But
he's gonna destroy.
all right, but I assume that McGregor is gonna do illegal stuff. You know, he's that guy. He's gonna kick. He's gonna push and headbutt and whatever.
Just like he did with Mayweather.
Yeah.
The little rabbit punches in the back of the head.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on and get a few
Oh,
more.
right. Don't you think Pacquiao would be a good person to how do you say it? To unite
the Philippines?
Yeah, to unite the people. I mean, he's having his celebrity status. Like, wouldn't everyone kind of look up to him? Like, yeah, he's our president. And then again, you have your underlings making the real decisions. He's just the face.
Yeah, we have had several presidents, not several, just one guy and a few guys who were sitting in the government out of fame, and they were all failures. You know, there's one super famous comedian in my country. It's like, if there's one person who can unite the Philippines, it could have been that guy, you know? And then he was asked, why don't you run for president? He said, you know, I'm a comedian. What am I going to do there? Make people laugh? That's why he did not run. You know, although if he did, you know, he could have united the country, you know, but that's what he said. What do I know about politics? I'm a comedian. I'm going to go there and make people laugh. See?
Well, staying with politics and transitioning a little bit.
Okay.
Is Jasmine Lee the one and only non-natural Korean citizen in the parliament of South Korea? Is she a role model? Is she someone that a lot of Filipinos in Korea look up to? Do they see her as a way to make change, as a way to improve your living conditions, your standard of living in Korea through her? Or how is she regarded amongst the Filipino community?
Okay, so it's like this. I know her personally. On a personal level, I think she's very smart. You know, her Korean is perfect, impeccable. You know,
I feel there's a big butt coming.
No. Not really a big butt. I mean, I really look up to her when it comes to, you know, Korean proficiency. She's like, you close your eyes, she's Korean.
Articulate.
You know, she gets paid lots of money, traveling around the country doing speeches about culture, about this and that. That really, it's like, oh my gosh. We all know that Jasmine Lee, although personally she is able, you know, what I do for the Filipino community, she does. Only she's paid. She gets money. Okay? She's famous. But the job that we do is actually the same. In my case, I'm just a nobody here in Ulsan. I don't get money, you know? She was put there because her party needed somebody.
She's the, okay.
To magnet the, you know, interracial families who can vote.
Not there based on merit, more of a opportunistic.
No, and anyway, because she's working anyway, she has the background. She's been doing her own, you know, little group of, you know, doing work for the Filipinas here in Korea, and plus working for poor Filipinos in the Philippines. She has her own group. She has.
What are the major contributions that she's made to the Filipina community?
She opens like seminars and trainings for Filipinas so they can be better members of the Korean society. So you just don't end up working in the factory. You go develop yourself through education and make yourself more qualified for better jobs.
Cool.
That's what she does. And she's we know that she has her own suggestions about laws that she wants to, you know, raise to parliament that would help better the lives of not only Filipinos, because she's the representative.
I think the most famous one, the anti-discrimination law.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting shot down, but I'm glad to see that she's there now introducing it.
Right.
Year
so
after year.
That one, and then the other one, it's like she proposed a free university education for Tamonha kids, and the Koreans were so angry. It's like, why can you get free education and we can't, just because you're Tamonha? And many Koreans do not understand that many Tamonha children are cash strapped. You know, many Tamonha families cannot afford to send children to university because of how expensive it is. It is already difficult for Korean families, and the more it is more difficult for us Tamonha. Some Koreans do not understand why the privilege, you know, those kinds of stuff.
And there'll be more of those struggles as Korea continues to globalize and multiculturalize.
Right. Yeah.
And they're going to learn that you can only be as good as your weakest citizens. And if you don't take care of your lowest and your weakest, the gap grows really fast. And that's when you start getting a lot of problems that the West has.
Yes, and she I mean, for us here, like Tamunha Filipina, being Filipino, of course we're proud, but she's representing all the Tamunhas here in Korea. But we should know that not everything that comes out of her mouth are from her head. We know, that she has people behind her.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
As you do.
Yes, yeah. There are people behind her telling her that this is how far you can mention this thing. This is only what you can mention. But people keep forgetting that it is like that in politics.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That's everything.
Right. Yes.
Go ahead with that one.
In terms of family, you mentioned you have 2 sons, aged 23 and 15. Raising them, they're probably they went to Korean school, they got all Korean buddies. What part of Filipino culture do you want them to really embrace? Or
Okay, number 1 is the Christmas tradition.
yes,
Okay, my kids grew up having a Christmas tree in the house, and us going to the Philippines to meet family and celebrate good stuff. We know that Christmas is just a regular thing here in Korea. That's number 1. I want them to learn the gift of Christmas, the gift of family. They should embrace
that. How is that tied to the church? I don't know how Christmas in the West is so commercialized. It's not even close to the original version of Christmas.
Yeah.
The Philippines is very, very Catholic.
Yes.
And
true.
very, very, I don't know, it's churchy, but very religious.
Religious.
Maybe that one.
Religious.
How much is that is connected to Christmas or?
No Catholicism, no Christmas. Period.
So
Are
your sons active in going to church every Sunday and participating?
No. That is they were Christian. They were baptized as Catholics, but they couldn't join. The English Catholic Mass was active when my kids were growing up, and teenagers, they don't want going there because I don't know anybody, I don't know. But they pray on their own. They know how to pray. They know they're Catholic. They're just not active, good Catholics.
Is that common throughout the Philippines?
Yes.
Because I remember being in Puerto Princesa and Puerto Galera and some of these places, and I don't know if it's the priest or and he's talking on loudspeakers over the whole village or the whole city.
that was in Puerto Galera, yeah.
I've seen it many places, but I thought, don't come to church, we'll come to you. It doesn't matter. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. That people have kids and all kinds of things going on. Everyone has to work. It's not like in the West where you have time, and if you're committed, you go every week.
Yes.
People
we
have
do.
to work.
Actually, we do.
But still, lots of people have to work, and it's just kind of life is more important. I still believe, I still worship at home.
Because actually, that part of Puerto Galera that foreigners visit, it's not really it's a commercialized patch.
No. Do you remember Ricky?
Oh, Ricky, yeah.
He's off. He's not there.
I had to drive through a jungle to get to his house.
So if it's a village, it's like far-flung village.
I was in Palawan before there was electricity there.
Before.
I mean, it was run on generators and riding on the top of jeepneys. So, I mean...
Wow, I've never been there.
I know there's lots that do go to church, but there's also, I thought, a cool kind of collective way to still worship without actually going to church, which sounds like maybe like what your sons do here.
Actually, it's my sons. It's not because they don't have access to church. It's just like they don't want to go there if they don't have any friends going there.
Right,
of course.
I mean, if your kids are gonna grow and you're gonna experience that. It's like, I don't care if mom and dad are there, but if my friends aren't going, I'm not going.
Our family was famous. We used to get smacked at church every Sunday. The 5 Mandigo kids sleeping. And Dad would poke you in the leg, or he'd hit the one guy, and then you hit the guy next to you, and all those
domino effect.
It was
in my
week.
case, I mean, my mother dragged me to church. Dragged me to church because after church we'll have to go to the market and buy stuff. And anyways, we were raised like that. So this Catholic religion and the Christmas tradition, I want my kids to embrace and keep, even if even until I die. I mean, now I'm really, really healthy and alive. I always tell my kids, when I'm gone, I want you to make time and put up a Christmas tree and go to the Philippines and meet your cousins and your relatives there.
Yeah.
I tell them that.
You say Christmas. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever been there for Christmas, but I was there for Semana Santa.
Oh my God.
And
Holy Week.
That was...
Oh, what?
Holy shit.
Week.
Easter.
Semana Santa.
Easter. And I thought, wow, this is great. Like the whole country is off. Everything stops. Is Christmas the same? And also, do you emphasize that holiday as much to your sons as Christmas, or...
Semana Santa is not really felt here in Korea. It's
Not
just
at all.
among the Catholics. And us Filipinos who are Catholics, we don't get to join the Semana Santa here in Korea because we are at work. And it's not a holiday. In the Philippines, Semana Santa, Holy Week, is totally a holiday.
I'm just having trouble distinguishing
Semana Santa is the
Christmas
Spanish...
Santa and Semana Santa.
No. So anyways, Christmas Santa and Semana Santa is different. Yeah. So it's really different. You know, I mean, we take Catholic traditions very seriously in the Philippines. I don't know if you've heard that the Philippines is the longest Christmas tradition in the world. As soon as the Burr months come, after All Souls Day and All Saints Day, the Christmas tree goes up.
You guys are like worse than Starbucks.
Yes. So November 1, November 2, the Christmas trees are up. October, September, Christmas songs are heard all over the world.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
How crazy we are about Christmas.
Religion for you, is it more about connecting to a higher power and God, or is it more...
Me personally, us Filipinos, yes, Catholicism is connecting to a higher power. And
not about and community. Is that a big part of it too?
Yes. Here in Ulsan, actually, I mean, I need to glue the people through our religion. I mean, be it Catholic or Christian. We have Christian services also, but I'm more active. You know, I get to reach more people. You know, and I'm very vocal on Facebook. So I need to keep the people glued through religion, because if we don't have this mass here, English mass here in Ulsan, you know where the boys will be going?
No.
The bars.
Oh,
the
Joe. Okay,
bars,
I got you.
We don't want them wasting their money in the girly bars and forgetting their faith
Christian.
they were baptized into, that you should do this and do that. So yeah, that's kind of my advocacy. Stay away from the girly bars.
Cool.
I'm sorry for the girls who go there and work, but I need to keep the people away from you.
What is the community like here in Ulsan? I think there's 50,000 Filipinos in Korea. So
yep. In Ulsan we have
is it very connected, or is it fragmented by city, like we're the Ulsan? And on top of that, it's made up of mostly, I'm just gonna guess, migrant wives, entertainer visas, teachers who are married, and factory workers. Is that accurate?
Yeah, roughly yes. We have a lot of Filipinos in Korea, like I said, because of the bilateral relations. The Filipinos, we're the top one choice for foreign workers here in Korea. So we have a big representation here. And then for other cities, I'm not really sure, but for Ulsan, we have like around 3,000 to 4,000 Filipinos here. But we have the Ulsan Association of Filipinos. By membership only, we have more than around 3,000 members on my page, because I run that page. But physically and realistically speaking, we are like scattered into groups, because not everyone likes me. We've got haters, and haters are gonna hate. It's like you cannot make everyone like you. So I'm okay with that. So I'm up for only information about jobs, new laws, this and that. If other things, I don't care anymore. So not everybody likes me, and I don't care. So we have smaller groups, like we have the Tongilgyo. I'm sure you've heard about the Tongilgyo.
No,
it sounds familiar.
Reverend Moon Sunmyong.
Oh, that's the Moonies.
The Moonies, yeah. They hate to be called Moonies. Some people might be listening, so no offense, but they have their own group, and we also have the Christians who have their own group, and then
segregated by religion.
Segregated by religion, yeah.
And then there's the Team Pacquiao over here. Team Pacquiao for
Yeah.
president.
What about by the? I know that basketball is a huge part of the community. What about by sports? Is it also segregated by the soccer players and the basketball players?
We don't have soccer players.
No?
Yeah, we don't do soccer, although there are a few soccer players, but we don't do soccer in the Philippines. We don't want to die.
Basketball, pool, and boxing.
Yeah, so we do boxing, but we don't box here in Korea. We do basketball, which actually is a good opportunity for me to announce that there's this outdoor basketball league that we've been planning, and I posted last June that was postponed because of the pandemic, right? So the city hall called me a few days ago that before it really gets really, really cold, we're going to do a soft opening this Saturday.
This Saturday?
This Saturday.
I saw it posted, yeah.
Yes. So we're going to do a soft opening this Saturday at the Samsan Outdoor Court, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be there. So if you know any teams, you know, Hagwon teachers team or Canadian team or whatever, American team, you just go and message me and I give you the details. But this time it's going to be very simple. Just simple, no lavish opening, no big cash prizes, no best uniform award, no best muse, just plain
Cheerleader shooting.
no
T-shirts.
nothing like that. Just nothing like that. So we're gonna do this on the 25th. I'm gonna announce later because I'm still asking around if they're still interested, and I've got 2 groups who are joining this Saturday. So maybe,
Is there any regulations that they've put on you, like fans have to wear masks or stand so far apart from each other?
you know, level 1 social distancing allows outdoor activities
100.
less than 100, and none player should be wearing a mask, and of course you should be distancing from other people seated around you. Yeah, basically those stuff.
Okay.
So basketball is a big magnet for Filipinos. You get to see Filipinos during this time. It's like when you ask them to come to church, 30 will show up. Yeah.
Crickets,
but
yeah.
when you say there's a basketball coming up on the opening day, we have 250 to 300 people showing up.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
Very awesome.
Very good.
Yep. Basketball.
I like that.
The second religion.
Yes.
So just one last question here.
Yes.
What can the city of Ulsan and Korea do to make it better for Filipinos living here?
Living here. Okay. So basically, number 1,
What are your biggest
Top 10 or the top 20?
Okay, because I have this, I created this group mainly for foreign workers. So my main concern are foreign workers, you know. They do not have a voice. So we say, be the voice for the voiceless. So the Ulsan does not understand the difficulty of Filipinos having to change workplaces or going jobless while in between jobs, you know. And these people, when you finish a contract and when you cancel a contract with one company, you will automatically move out. And where do they go?
So you're living in a company housing
Yes,
complex, and then when
right.
you lose your job, or
you have to go out. So where do you go? I have proposed this more than 10 years ago, that if they could provide us with a we're not looking for a lavish shelter.
just a transition shelter.
Yes, exactly. Just a shelter for workers, not just Filipinos.
Does the church fill that void now?
No.
No.
There is one from the other religion. They like to, how can I say, like accommodate people who are in between jobs, but
Then they give you the injection at night and you wake up.
and you're praise the Lord. No, but they obligate you to join the services, which offends some of the people. They don't like that.
What?
Yeah,
That
strings
seems a
attached.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there's so many Filipinos here, and when they go jobless, they have nowhere to go. So I have to ask friends to accommodate them or lead them to where they can go. So I hope Ulsan could have that shelter, because we know that even, you know, Americans and Canadians and all the Hagwon teachers, when you go jobless, you have to move out. And where do you go if you do not have friends?
You can have, like, what about the visa status? Like, for a teacher who's seeking, and I think this is within the past 5 years, that you can get a D10 visa, like actively looking for work. Is that same for Filipinos? Or
No.
You're just, the contract's finished, time to pack your
Although
shit, you know?
there are new visa schemes that allow them to extend every 2 years after the 4-year 4 years and 10 months visa. That's the maximum you can legally stay. And then after that, your boss has this option to hire you as an E7-4. But to get that visa, oh my gosh, you have to
Jump through hoops.
Yeah.
exactly
Just-
sweat, tears of blood.
Just
you know?
a follow-up on that.
Yeah.
Why are the Filipinos not more prominent in the community? I'm thinking of Bino, the Nepalese gentleman who has Namaskar, and he had told us when he came that he was also worried about something like this. So he used whatever influence he had, and he secured an apartment, a one-room. And any of the Nepalese who fell into that category of being transient between jobs could go and sleep there for a night, 3 nights, whatever. And he would always make sure that there's some rice or some ramen or whatever there to take care of guys in between jobs. I don't know there used to be a couple bars, but there's so many Filipinos, like we said. How come there aren't Filipino restaurants or transient shelters for them from the Filipino community?
Actually, I don't know if you know Maria Pham. She owns Manila Town, although she's not visible in Ulsan. She owns that. So the caretaker, Kuya Dan, he actually accommodates some people who only he knows personally, because we don't want to let strangers in, right? Okay, to address this problem of not having a shelter in Ulsan, actually, the Ulsan Association of Filipinos is linked to the other Filipino communities in the Gyeongsang Namdo area.
Okay.
We have Daegu, Masan, Busan. Our umbrella, we have an umbrella organization called the Filipino Communities. Okay, so we had events, showcasing Filipino traditions, and we collected money from that, and we actually have a shelter, but not in Ulsan, in Busan.
Okay.
The problem is the people who are undocumented or people who are staying illegally. They cannot travel from Ulsan to Busan to get to that shelter because the danger of being
Grabbed.
I mean, I'm a Korean citizen and I swore to abide by Korean laws, but not everyone is under my control.
Right.
I have some people in authority approaching me, telling me, if you know anyone who does not have a visa, show us where they live. It's like, not everybody tells me where they live.
Right.
And
They're
why?
like Chubby Linda Swarovski's secret hideout.
I don't control everyone, and not everyone is my friend, you know? So we actually it was opened only last year, but it is based in Busan with the help of the Gyeongnam Migrant Center. But in Ulsan, we don't, because they said we don't have funds, blah, 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 blah. So I was a little bit upset.
How many people would you say require a housing or
for now,
in immediate housing situation?
For now, because many companies closed because of the pandemic, we have around like 15 to 20 people.
And pre-COVID, what would it be, like 4 or 5 every?
Yeah, less than 5.
Less than 5. Interesting.
Less than 5.
Per month?
Not just it's just an occasional.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anything else that we could or that you could advocate for improving the lives of Filipinos in Ulsan?
Just I hope that they would open up more job opportunities for Filipinos in Ulsan. I mean, for those who are not qualified to teach, they need to earn also. I hope that the welfare for women and children in Ulsan would, pay more attention for Filipinos who are not qualified to teach in the hagwons. Factory openings or any kind of leads, for them to earn.
Yep.
Yeah, because we cannot just stay in Korea and stay at home,
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. Listen,
Yes.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Episode 28 in the books. Thanks for
Yes.
coming. We hope to
Yes.
see you again soon.
Yay.
Guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.